Oh my gosh, Carrie, this was a huge part of Redesigning Health and Home's 2025 journey
Mm,
because I remember it was either you or I opening our email,
right.
Redesigning Health and Home at Gmail, and we do get Gmail, we get
Yeah.
email. And we've had a handful of emails for
Yeah.
people saying, we have this guest and we would love for you to consider interviewing them on your podcast.
Right. We think they'd be a good fit for your podcast. And we're like, wow, absolutely.
2025, that was a huge highlight that people were
Was.
emailing us.
Yes.
And welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm Meg.
And I'm Carrie. We love creating beautiful, functional spaces and living healthy, vibrant lives. So join us as we chat about simple, practical ways to take care of your body, mind, and your home. Whether it's fitness tips, home decor ideas, or navigating those big life moments, we're here to share what works for us and what doesn't, with some encouragement along the way.
Let's redesign this life together, one step, one room, and one habit at a time.
Hello and welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. It's Megan Carey. We are back on for another fun Friday episode with you. And today we're recording on December 14th. And this is going to be coming out in a week or so, very close to the end of the year. So we decided to do Redesigning Health and Home 2025 recap. But before we get to that, how are things with you, Meg?
Hi, Carrie. I am good. Thank you. And I'm excited about our Redesigning Health and Home recap because there is a recap to be told.
Yeah, we're coming up on 10 months. We started the podcast in February of 2025. And we were talking a little bit before we jumped on the pod just about how we didn't even know what name we were going to use for our podcast. And do you remember we ended up doing a poll with some people that we knew?
We did do a poll. We were really working hard to come up with some unique names that would fit well with what we wanted to discuss. And it was just time where you and I were in a period of our life where we thought this would be a really nice adventure to take on a podcast.
Yeah,
And I think we went full force. So yes, we
yeah.
we polled our friends and family and we got some really great responses. And
We landed on Redesigning Health and Home, which I think has been a great name. You know, we were blending in Meg's profession, which is in the fitness and personal training and health area, and my love for interior decorating and all things about home. And Meg's very passionate about her home as well. And we wanted to blend that together. And so we felt like their name, Redesigning Health and Home, just really captured what we were about. We did have some really interesting um, write-in submissions
we did, we did.
where people were like, how about this name actually? Which was cool
It
to
was
that
great.
I mean, they were taking it very seriously, which was appreciated. And what was the running up name?
Well, I remember it because I did like it very much. It was the Wellness Blueprint.
Yes, which is also a great name.
Yeah,
Also a
I
great
think
name.
are we giving anybody a good idea out there?
Right, maybe.
Shoot.
Maybe. And we were just also talking about how even though we've blended fitness and health and all things home and home decor together, how a lot of our episodes venture outside of even like those constraints, but that we're okay with that because we feel like the redesigning piece kind of captures what we're really talking about, which is kind of designing your life as you have new experiences and as the phases of your life change and the people who are in and out of your home and how your body changes and all those things, just adapting it to where you are at the moment. And so I think the redesigning piece, or the redesigning word, really is the biggest factor in what we're talking about on the daily.
I would think so. You captured that really beautifully because I know for myself, going through menopause and life changes with moves, even on a daily basis, it's a redesign. You wake up and think, how am I feeling? Or what can I look forward to? Or what opportunities are out there to redesign? Because maybe
Yes.
it's something similar you've done before, but you're just going to approach it with a fresh look at this time and stage of our life.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. And when Meg and I think about how we personally redesigned our lives, well, first of all, let's go a little bit back to
Okay.
starting the podcast. So we discussed it for a while, and then we finally decided, yes, let's just do an episode. Let's just try it. And we had lots of things to kind of figure out. But, we record this episode and get it going. And then our lives are still happening in the background, though, right? And now we've kind of got, at least for me, kind of got redesigning on the brain. And how is this really going to affect my life on the day to day? And I think there were a lot of changes for both of us, you in particular. I know for me, a very big piece of my life is the podcast. I've mentioned it before. It's been a huge gift. It's a bright spot in my life right now. I find it very fun and challenging, and Meg is the most amazing partner to have.
Mm.
So that was a new thing to add, right? And just fitting that into the everyday, but also it's on your brain. Like you're always thinking, oh, could we talk about that? Could we talk about that? What should we do for that? So that was really fun. Have you found that it's kind of taken over your thought process like often?
In the best way ever,
Yes, right?
honestly. I mean, if I didn't feel that way, you and I would probably redesign the way we're thinking about this.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we started it, I think, really with the idea of let's just do this for fun, and it's been that, and it's turned into much more as well. And then I got a new job, a part-time job at the end of June, so that was kind of a new thing for me. You and I talked about fitness. Have I been great about fitting in my fitness? No, I'll be honest, I haven't. But it is always in my mind, and we were talking before the episode. My latest thought is just do something, even if it's small. And honestly, getting started, they say this is the hardest part. I really do feel like that's true. Like on the daily for just a workout. And I've even heard about people who work out all the time and they're like, do I want to work out? No. 85% of the time, I would rather not. But just getting started and doing something kind of gets the momentum going. So those are a couple of things that jump to my mind when I think about redesigning. But I know you've had a very big year of redesign. So tell us about that.
Well, yeah, but I want to go back to what you said. I think that is a daily redesign that we are figuring out what feels best for our body and our home.
Uh-huh.
And just like you are saying, let's just do something. Some days I'll see, my couch all disheveled and I think, just take the 2 minutes it
Yeah.
needs to kind of freshen it up. So I'm still doing that stuff. But yes, I moved, which has been great. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, but it was a big redesign in my life
Yeah.
because both of our daily routines, you and I have talked about
Mhm.
it. Your daily routine from your even wake up time has
Mhm.
changed because of
Yeah.
this new job you've had. And so I've had to redesign a few things in just the daily aspect of our life while trying to redesign just our routines of our lives. But then we've had this little constant that was a new constant of redesigning Health and Home podcast, which
Right.
I think has been a little bit of an anchor in
Oh,
2025 for me.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. And sometimes I think that the word redesign sounds like a really big word. Like you imagine, oh, somebody's redesigning their house, like they're top to bottom, doing it all. But I think that it's much more incremental than that and can be as small as today, instead of going for my French vanilla creamer, glug, 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 just putting in as much as I
Maybe
like.
one glug.
Maybe one glug, or maybe looking to see if there's some other options out there that might still satisfy that morning coffee. It doesn't have to be big things. And in fact, I would say for me, usually it's not big things.
That's an awesome point because it's the little things that
Mm,
matter or the phone conversations or the relationship building. What
yeah.
is one little thing you can tweak, redesign? And I think we've really leaned into that.
Yeah, I would agree for sure. When we started the pod, we mentioned this on one of our other episodes about the podcast. We didn't really plan necessarily to have guests on the podcast. As of recording this episode, we've had 15 interviews with various guests from all different kinds of careers and backgrounds, and just like amazing that we've had all these amazing people on. And so that's been a big surprise too, because I don't think we necessarily thought we would be doing that. But it's turned out to be, again, another huge gift. It's been all women so far, and we will have a male guest, I promise, someday. But just to hear all the various perspectives, and yet how at the core of everything, we still all want the same thing, right? Which is to stay well connected with our family and friends and the people that we love, and to stay on top of our health and to have a fulfilling life, right? I mean, if you were to boil it down, every guest, I think, talks about that in some form or other. So, 15 guests. Can you believe that, Meg?
2025, that was a big surprise in 2025.
Huge. Yeah.
For us, for redesigning health and home,
Yeah.
for our lives, I mean, whenever you would text me like, "I have an interview," I just was like, "Oh my gosh, yay!"
Right?
Or
Yeah.
sometimes, and we'll tell you, just like we talked on Woes and Wins about the podcast, it's not fishing, but you think, "I really want to see if this person would wanna come on," and then the big surprise of they say yes.
Yes, exactly. And we just didn't know what to expect. And Meg, you've been amazing at reaching out. I played it fairly safe. I think most of my guests have been friends and family,
Well,
which has been super fun.
and you have amazing, interesting impressive friends and families.
So, what do you think, Meg? Should we recap our guests?
I would love to hear them all.
Okay, let's hear them all.
Okay.
15 we've had. So, our
15.
15, yes. Our very first guest was my sister, Debbie. And that was such a fun interview because, first of all, Debbie's, I think, very funny, but, everybody thinks their family is goofy and funny. But, she's a ray of sunshine. And she was talking about how empty nest has affected her house, both on the positive and the tough parts of it. And so that was just a super interesting interview because I think a lot of our listeners could relate to that topic. And so it was just fun to hear her perspective and how she's really embracing it and trying new things and focusing on her health and all those things. So that was a fun interview. Were there any particular things that jump out at you about that interview?
She embraced the redesign for sure, about her workouts, her new not found freedom, but just going to the gym and listening to our podcast, which was such a nice shout out. But I remember listening to that and thinking, I love the way she's approaching this emptiness phase of her life. And I would like to actually revisit that in a future episode.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I think the episode was called something to the effect of $8 olives curling
Yes.
in cricket or something like that. Yes.
An
Yeah.
$8 olive sounds amazing right now, actually.
Right. I do love an olive. I love black and green. I had this conversation with my daughter yesterday. I'm an equal opportunity olive gal. I love them
Just
both.
don't put them in a savory jello.
Don't send them to me in a tomato aspect. Oh my gosh. So our second guest was actually a friend of mine from Canada. We met each other in junior high school, and Sue is just such an amazing gal. I think you mentioned, Meg, how we learn from Sue all the time because she's really embraced the concept of self-love, right?
Sue, anytime she has given us any bits of information, it has been bits of wisdom
Yeah.
and comfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Sue, yes.
Yes. And Sue is extremely well connected. She knows practically everyone in the town that we grew up in. But she also decided to embrace, what is it, 50 things in her 50th year. And one of them was CrossFit. And now she's a part owner in a CrossFit gym, which is super cool that she's doing that. So, as much as she talks about CrossFit, there are so many, as Meg mentioned, moments of wisdom within that podcast. So
Yeah.
she was our second guest. That was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then our first celebrity-ish guest
Yeah.
who wrote a book called Organize First, Decorate Second was your guest.
Whitney English.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember boarding a plane
Mhm.
and I reached out to her maybe week before this
Yeah.
and I got a message from her. And I was just shaking. My gosh, and I was so nervous and it was rough. I wish I could interview her again because I was just so nervous and
Yeah.
excited that not all of my questions were asked in the way I probably would have liked to, but yeah, I mean, it was such an experience.
Well, and you bring up a good point about it's one thing for you and I to hop on a pod and we can see each other and we know each other and we're kind of talking before we jump on the pod. And so we have this sense of what we're going to talk about. It was still nerve wracking at the beginning when we were first recording, but with a guest, especially somebody that you don't know, right? You're communicating with them ahead of time for us via email, asking questions back and forth and providing frameworks and kind of setting up what time and what format we're going to meet in and all that stuff. But that's very different than getting on face to face over Riverside and doing the actual interview. And so I don't blame you for for feeling nervous at all, but it did not come through as you were nervous. You sounded like a pro. One of the parts that really stuck out for me of Whitney, and I don't know that she would love that this is what stuck out to me, but she was talking about having a friend over who is also an author. And, right before the friend came over, the dog left a surprise on the patio where they were going to visit. And so she's cleaning that up and she's got the leaf blower out and going. And just how like that's it. That's the meat and potatoes of life, right? Is that we plan and we think that, oh, this is going to be so perfect and, so glamorous. And then life still happens. But in the midst of all that is where the really great stuff happens. And they had a great conversation anyway. And so I just felt like the tips that she provided on the interview and in her book were just very real life.
It was into that same storyline she mentioned about nothing being too precious.
Yeah.
She said someone was over and spilled some wine, and she said, "I
Mhm.
literally just threw them a dish towel
Yeah.
to
Right.
soak it up and
Yeah.
said, 'It's fine.'"
Yeah.
And they said, "Really?" She
Mhm.
said, "You are my friend. You
Yeah.
are my friend."
Yeah.
And it's about the people and the connections and
Yes.
yeah, and her book was really great too. I really enjoyed I got the audiobook and read it, so I really enjoyed the book as well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a beautiful book. If anyone wants to check it out, it's called Organize First, Decorate Second with lots of great tidbits in there. And then our next guest, Laurel, was actually recommended to me by Susan because they had connected. Laurel offers some life coaching and they had connected in that way, but they're also both huge fitness buffs. And I know Laurel went to the same CrossFit gym as Sue for a while. And it was really interesting listening to Laurel because she was talking about the now me, now what kind of phase, like your kids are gone and you've got this time and now what do you do with it? And how do you organize your life now that, you're in that empty nest phase? And that episode also was just jam-packed full of interesting topics. Each one of them could have been their own episode, I felt like. And so she's got some incredible resources on her website as well. So
I have been following her on her socials, and she has a very active, fun social media presence
yes.
where just makes you feel kind of warm and fuzzy and
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And she's out walking in the crunchy
Yeah.
snow all the time, walking and talking and doing all the things on her social media. So she's a great one, a great interview as well. Really appreciated the conversation with Laurel. And then the next guest was inspired from a visit that you and Gib made to Coeur d'Alene.
Yes, Carrie, we went to this beautiful gourmet olive oil shop, and the owner was just right there at the door, and she was delightful and had, oh my gosh, so much information about olive oil and where it comes from and all the different textures and tastes. And I just thought, I think it was Gib. We walked out and he said, "You need to have her on your podcast about, redesigning health and how olive oil can be part of your life." So she was great. And it was cute because she was the little bit of a nervous one coming on that she's never been on. And she's
All right.
so sweet. And I really enjoyed talking to Debbie.
Yeah, but her passion for her shop and the history that she had with her dad, because he also was an entrepreneur and store owner. And when you talked about how excited she was to tell you about her shop, it just really came through in the interview as well. And I certainly didn't know hardly anything about olive oil. So it was really interesting to hear what she had to say about that one. So,
Yeah, I hope even people check out her socials too, or the website for the products,
uh
because they are the highest quality you can even imagine. It's Migliori olive oil in Coeur d'Alene, and she just actually had a post that said Migliori means best in Italian, and that's the standard that she wants to bring to her shop.
yes. And her store is Migliore, which is Migliore. So for anybody that speaks Italian, you'll know that. But if you don't, that's how it's spelled. So definitely check out Debbie's website. There's so many amazing things there.
Yes.
And then again, this was another local contact for you. Gals Need Pals.
Gals need pals, these young, vibrant women.
Oh, so cool. Yes.
It is so cool, and I'm still following them, and the most they are doing women in the best way.
Yeah.
They are building friendships for people. They are
Mhm.
building this community. If you don't know anyone, they say, "Come, you're gonna meet a friend. You
Right.
are gonna meet a friend." They're almost putting their guaranteed stamp on it.
Yeah.
And these events are flapper parties, Christmas parties, adult proms,
Yes.
wine and cheese tasting.
Yes.
It's
I
just
can't imagine the number of hours it takes behind the scenes to put these together because the events themselves seem very well thought out. They're all just seem like they're just amazing events to attend, and they're doing them all the time.
all the time. And she was saying how she tries to keep her ticket prices so low, but
Mhm,
the ticket is the event. You
mhm.
usually get some sort of food and drink with it,
Right,
that she understands that the dollar only goes so far, and she wants
right,
this to be an experience, to also bring your
right.
meal, this also to be a friendship building. So,
Yes,
yeah, I
yeah,
was very impressed with those Gals Need
right.
Pals.
Right, and they're located right in Spokane, right?
A couple, they have expanded. I think they have a few.
Locations now?
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah. They host in, 3, I think.
Good for them. Good for them. Well, we are on a run of your guests here. The next guest that you had was Laura Walsh from Walsh Nutrition. How did you make contact with Laura initially?
Our kids actually went to school together, so I talked with Laura, and she, on her social, just posted that her insurance network has increased. I
Oh,
think she's
awesome.
accepting more insurance companies. So
Okay.
if you're really looking to get into a new habit of health and
Uh-huh.
maybe the food and diet, her company can help you.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Laura has a group of dietitians under the title of her name, Laura Walsh, but she also gave us a lot of valuable information on the GLP-1s, which was amazing because I think it's fairly new for a lot of us. And so she just gave some really great clarification about how it's used, the different kinds, how you would get connected through your doctor, but then her group can offer support. And so it was very informative.
Yeah, that was the main topic, was the medications and
Yes.
how she can support, but she also just shared how she got started and how she has so much experience in the industry. It was really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it was very interesting. And then we get to Sarah Hart Unger. First of all, she has to be one of the busiest people. When you read her resume, it's like head spinning because she's a pediatric endocrinologist, just to start off, and then she's also a podcaster. And what else? What did you talk about
A
with Sarah?
writer, a creator.
Hmm.
She hosts live events for planning. She loves planning. And her book actually comes out this week, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so she's been on a lot of podcasts. I think she's
Oh,
making the rounds and her book's coming out. Sarah offers many courses on her website and she does the live event. And she, like you said, has a big job to hold
yeah.
and a growing family. So, yeah,
She's juggling all that, and probably she can do that because she's very good at planning.
she's very good at planning. Well, she's the number one
Yeah,
go-to girl for sure.
yeah, for sure. And so her podcast is called Best Laid Plans.
Mhm.
And then she's on another podcast.
She is on another podcast called Best of Both Worlds, and the premise of that is just you can still be a wonderful family woman or
Uh-huh.
person, but also have a career you love,
Yeah.
and how
Yeah.
those 2 collide.
Yeah. Yeah. Really great. Really great. And then the next guest was actually Lindsay Foz, who is also my niece.
Incredible.
Yeah, that was it was so neat for me to connect with Lindsay in that way because she's my niece. I know what she does, but I didn't really know, what she did until I had a chance to talk to her. So she is a trauma therapist and she also is a business owner. So she hires other therapists who rent space from her and then they pay her for the space rental and then she advertises or promotes for all of them. And so they've built quite a large number of therapists on their team. And she's got this new amazing space where they have yoga and some child therapy and all these wonderful things. So, talking to Lindsay and learning about what trauma even means and how it affects people, I have listened to it a few times just because I have found it to be super enlightening and helpful. Yeah, I
I
really enjoyed that interview.
I did too, and I loved the segment where she said she had a few first responder
Yeah.
clients and
Mm.
that she felt that she was almost replaying her responses because it wasn't the same situations, but almost the scenarios or the deep down
Yeah.
core of the conversation seemed to be similar, that
Sure.
then she created her podcast to just say, "Hey, I've gotta get this information out to whoever needs
Yeah.
that."
Yes, yes, that's right. So, yeah, she has courses available. Thrive Life Counseling. Lindsay is located in BC, Canada, but you can find her if you type in her name, Lindsay Faz, Faas. She'll come up with all kinds of resources as well. So, and then your next guest was Molly. Amazing. Molly. What a firecracker Molly is with all that she's got going on.
Firecracker Molly. I follow her all fashion able on Instagram. And she's wearing the just most festive outfits right now and going to all these fun restaurants and throwing parties and just
Yes.
talking, at school, but then also sharing the very important awareness of inclusion
Yeah, she's an advocate for adaptive clothing.
and more so fashion forward.
Yeah.
That it's not just we need clothing for a certain group of individuals.
Yeah.
But why can't there be high fashion clothing for everybody?
Molly is very, very fun to follow for
Yes.
sure. And then I have 3 sisters, so I have to go through all of them. I have yet to capture my sister Faye, but the next episode was with my sister Barbara. And Barbara is a creative in that she has an Etsy shop and she makes these beautiful wreaths and beautiful bows. But as much as we talked about that, her story was also about redesigning her life to suit the age and stage that she is at. She's always been a creative gal, but she was looking for something that kind of fit within where she is right now. She and I used to move giant heavy furniture around and repaint it and put on new knobs and that's really really labor intensive hard work. And so the episode is as much about that as it is about making wreaths. So I did appreciate that conversation with my sister Barb.
I love hearing from Barb. I
Yeah.
do. I She's just so generous with her comments and her
She is.
kindness. And Barb, when she does one of these passion projects,
Mhm.
I remember you showing me the bow, and I thought, Barb is packaging it so beautifully,
Yeah.
going above and beyond.
Yeah, she's a very generous spirit, and so, yeah, she puts a lot of effort into making people feel special through the packaging of the items. The bow that I purchased from her, she sent a free gift in there, and a little thank you note and tissue with a little sticker on it that said "Twig and Vine by Barbara," and so just such great attention to detail. For sure.
So wonderful. Yes, and Barb is just the best.
Yeah, so that was fun. So now I have to capture my sister Faye,
Yes.
and then it'll be all 3 sisters.
I would Okay, we have some goals for
Right,
2026.
right.
All right, well, we can put it on the goals list.
Yes, for sure. And then the next interview was with Sarah Traub.
Oh my gosh, Carrie, this was a huge part of Redesigning Health and Home's 2025 journey
Mm,
because I remember it was either you or I opening our email,
right.
Redesigning Health and Home at Gmail, and we do get Gmail, we get
Yeah.
email. And we've had a handful of emails for
Yeah,
people saying, "We have this guest and we would love for you to consider interviewing them on your podcast."
right. We think they'd be a good fit for your podcast. And we're like, "Wow, absolutely."
2025, that was a huge highlight that people were
Right.
emailing us,
Yes.
and we read through a few and we thought Sarah would be a really great fit.
Yes, yeah, and her story was amazing. So first of all, she is very passionate about her work. So she started a company called Fun Cycled, where I talked about Barb and I refinishing furniture. That's what Sarah is doing. But her husband is also a super talented carpenter. So they now have a family business that they run together. But she talked about so many different things. It was about recycling and reusing and repurposing old furniture and things like that, but also so much more. All the way to the core of her faith and working with a family business. She's been on television. What did she say? Like 3 times?
Yes,
And she actually has a book that's coming out as well.
I saw that. Yes.
So she's a very ambitious gal, and it was really interesting. Really great interview.
I loved listening to that, and I just saw on her social that she's a painter, and she was dropping off some painting to a
Yeah.
gallery.
Yes, yeah. Super talented lady. Super talented lady. Yes, for sure. Well, it was very fun interviewing Sarah. And then the next interview was with Dr. Zarita Ona, Dr. Z. And the backstory is, Meg, that you and Dr. Z got together for an interview and ran into technical difficulties.
We did, and she was one that I reached out to because I heard her on another podcast.
Yes.
And I listened to that, and I just loved the information she had to say.
Yeah.
And then I listened to her TED Talk, and I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna email her. And she did get back to us. And yes, we ran into a little technical difficulties. That's one thing when we're interviewing people. My fingers are already always crossed. I always
Okay.
put, if you run into difficulties, here's my cell phone, text me because you don't know about each other's Wi-Fi or if
Yeah.
the program's going to work on their system they're using.
Right.
So we did run into a little hiccup there, but she was just very kind and said, "No problem. Let's." And then you were so nice because I had a conflict for our reschedule day, and you just were a champ and did an amazing job
Well,
talking to her.
she's an absolutely delightful woman, and I felt about her like I did about Lindsay, where we could have had multiple different interviews with her on different topics. She's very generous with what she provides information wise. Her TEDx talk is awesome. I really enjoyed that. And if you go to Dr. Z's website, she has so many resources and connection opportunities available too. I think the big takeaway for me there was just that our minds are like the advisory board. They're always giving us, information. Be careful, don't touch that. Don't go too fast, oh, do you really think you should be doing, all the things, and that it's always, always going, but that we don't have to be held captive to that, that we can make decisions based on our values instead of what the advisory board is always,
Right.
telling us to do. So, yeah, yeah, it was just a really interesting interview with Dr. Z.
Yeah, and she also has the podcast called Playing It Safe with Dr. Z. Some of those episodes are just, 20 minutes of really comforting
Yeah,
words.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then you had a super exciting interview with Lisa George from Mickey Travels. That was so fun. I had no idea that that's her
You
assistant.
are nice. Yeah, I was really excited about that one too because when we are traveling, we can redesign our travel. We
Yeah.
can redesign our travel where we're thinking, let's go to Disney World. Well, hey, but I'm now edging up there. I can't run around a theme park for 30,000 steps. Well,
Sure.
actually, you don't have to.
No, no, she talked about so many cool experiences at Disney that I didn't know existed. And she talked about how if you're going to book on Disney.com and you start booking, that the price for somebody like Lisa to help you plan is already built into the price. So if you reach out to her or not, you've paid for it. So if you reach out to her, you don't pay anymore. She just comes in and helps and, talks about the dining plans and just all these amazing experiences. Are you going with kids or adults? And she tailors the trip to whoever reaches out to her. And I thought that was amazing.
That was the point I was going to say, exactly the one you said. And she said from the minute of your first conversation, she is working for you until you're back home. And I think if you were to use a planner, definitely reach out to Lisa. She is incredible and so hardworking. And she also mentioned the same thing that you were saying. Disney knows that this is a huge process.
Yeah.
So that's why they said you need a planner. You
Yeah.
need a planner, and we're going to get the help you need, but that commission's going to be built in.
Yeah.
So take advantage of it because you'll end up saving that money in the long run because they'll
Yeah.
know all the tips and tricks to get you
Yeah.
planned.
Yeah, she said she had to do the Disney University course, but then there's weekly updates like, oh, this
Oh,
ride is closed or this one is now brand new one is finally open. And I like how she talked about she knows if there's special events where this part of the park is going to be for ticket holders only, so you can choose to buy a ticket. But if you don't buy a ticket, you actually can't go to the park for that time. And she tells you that ahead of time so you don't get there and are disappointed. And because Disney, there's so much, it's just overwhelming or can be in the best way, right? The most fun way.
yes.
And so to have somebody like Lisa on your side to help maximize your trip and minimize the overwhelm and it doesn't cost you anymore, absolutely.
Yeah, I really enjoyed speaking with her just about the whole, redesigning your travel and how you can make it streamlined,
Yeah, streamlined and completely custom to you. Yeah,
custom to you.
yeah. Well, our 15th woohoo guest for 2025 was Kathleen Paley of the Reframe podcast. And Meg, you hosted that interview with Kathleen. What an amazing interview with so much information. How did you get in contact with Kathleen?
Well, Kathleen, too, such an impressive woman. Again, I heard her on another podcast and I found her because I was searching, I think, credit card points or something, how to use,
Sure.
and she has a whole series on it. So I just was eating up her content.
Hmm.
And she is really telling you, do this, do this, do this, and you can save a bunch of money.
Yeah. Well, she's clearly incredibly smart. She's an attorney, first of all. She's a lawyer and she's had a very big career that she talks a little bit about on the interview, but there's so much more to her as well, which I
Yeah.
thought was really interesting. She's a mom and talked about some big changes that she's had
Mhm.
going on in her life as well.
She really talks about any sort of aspect in her daily life or even bigger, how she can reframe that or redesign it, like
Mhm.
time.
Yeah,
How she used certain bits of time and then she thought, "Well, how can I make this most impactful for me?"
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I enjoyed speaking with her very much.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really great interview. I actually was listening to it before it came out, and my husband came into the room and he was listening to it as well, and he said, "Wow, she's just extremely well spoken and very warm, and talks about things that are very interesting." So it was a really great listen.
One thing that she said was just, "You really have to say, I don't really care what someone else is thinking about what I'm doing."
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
from, using a walking pad under her desk. She
Yeah.
said, "I'm gonna live my life to my values," which
Yes.
speaks to most of our guests, right?
Yes. Yeah.
"And I'm gonna put my best foot forward, and I'm gonna feel good about what I'm doing, whatever anyone else has to think about it."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because we've talked about this before. It turns out we get one chance to go around in this life, so you may as well live it how you like. Design it how you like, right, Meg?
Design it, and redesign it again.
Exactly. And if it's not working for you, redesign it again.
And Carrie, okay, well, for the podcast, we had another big change in 2025.
Oh, wow.
Or not a change, just something that happened.
Oh, what are you thinking about?
Well, we went from our little black and gold, sweet original logo, and
Yes.
we did the big reveal. In
Yeah.
2025, our podcast had a logo change.
Yeah, we did. We did. And we were really struggling with whether or not we should change it because we were pretty new and did that make any sense to change it? But then we felt like, oh, is it really representing kind of the warmth that we're trying to, I don't know, put through out into the universe through the podcast? So we decided to go for it. Man, was that hard, right?
That was something. I think my storage on my photos on my phone, it said, "You are full." I probably had 30,000 different pictures of
And
RHH with a microphone, redesigning health and home in a gym setting. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. With this color, with this
Yes.
font, with that font. And, we finally settled on one that we both thought really captured all the kind of details that we wanted in there, but it also had to be kinda simple enough to be recognizable on like a tiny little icon on a phone, right? So it couldn't be super elaborate because I was like, oh, let's make it an entire room with, and Meg's like, I don't know if that's really going to play well on a tiny little icon on the podcast.
Oh.
So anyway, we finally settled on something that works for us.
Yeah, and I think when we were talking about that, because we were thinking, does it need to be the artwork for the podcast cover? Does it need to be our logo for Facebook?
Right.
Does it need to be Instagram? And we just thought, you know what? Let's just find what fits best for each of those.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. So I like it. If you haven't seen it, it's lovely. It's a kind of how would you describe it? Kind of a rich teal plush pillow with gold writing on it, and it's got
Yes.
coffee mugs in front and a podcast microphone and a pair of hand weights, and it's health and home and coffee. What else do you need right
Health and
there?
home and coffee. Oh, Carrie, wait.
New name?
New name, Health, Home, and Coffee? Jeez.
Oh, we didn't think of that name.
No, we didn't, but we've noticed a lot of our audience enjoys their coffee as a morning ritual, and I
Yeah.
think, you know what, one thing that was new in 2025 that came out of the podcast was we really got to know people a little bit
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
right?
Even people that we already knew. Like,
That's yes.
like in a little bit deeper way are reconnecting. Like I'm thinking of some friends back in Canada. I haven't lived in Canada for 27 years, which, by the way, Canada, congratulations, because you are the second most listened country to our podcast after the United States. So,
Well,
right?
Carrie, yes, congratulations, number 2.
Yeah. Way to go, Canada.
Well, and we also have a number 3, a number 4, and number 5.
I know. That was so crazy when we saw that our podcast is being listened to in different countries. That was pretty fun,
Which
actually.
ones were they?
I don't even remember. All I remembered was Canada. Woo!
Yes. Okay.
I think the UK was in there. I'm not even sure.
Spain?
Australia? Now we're just naming countries.
Yes.
We
Well,
might
we
have
hope
to,
you're listening.
we
'Cause
might have to look that up, but reconnecting with, some of those people that I don't get to see often, and we have so many wonderful people cheering us on, and that's so humbling and so heartwarming and kind,
it really is. And there is a website called Listen Notes. Gib is so cute. I heard him telling someone on the phone, my wife and her partner have a top 10% podcast in the world. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, it's true, though. It's true. According
Yes.
to this, because we've
Yeah.
been really trying to be consistent.
No, I love that for two reasons. First of all, yay, Redesign Health and Home community, but also our husbands are the cutest. Like, they're so supportive and involved and cheering us on, and I love that too. We're very fortunate that way.
Very fortunate. Yes.
Yes, for sure. So, well, I know that we have another episode coming up soon where we're going to talk about soft goals for 2026, as well as we had quite a few people tell us what their word or words for 2026 are going to be. So they sent in a word that they're going to use to kind of use as the guide, I guess, guiding word for 2026 on what they really want to focus on. Man, there are some really interesting words in there. And some of them make me almost want to cry when I
Well,
hear
we probably
them.
will.
I'm sure we will. And some are just super fun or inspiring. And so that episode's going to be coming up real soon where we share that. And in that episode, I think we're going to hint about a few new things that are going to be the focus for redesigning health and home in 2026.
I think so.
So you're definitely going to want to tune into that to see what we're up to. But in the meantime, we are very grateful for each and every one of our listeners. Thank you for tuning in today.
Thank you so much. And we will see you next Friday.
See you next Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Redesigning Health and Home podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to like, share, and follow along so you can catch us on all future episodes. You can find me, Meg, at Fit, Fed, Feeling Good on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Carrie, on my website at homestylewithcarrie.com and on Instagram and Facebook at Homestyle with Carrie. That's Kerri. And you can find both of us at Redesigning Health and Home on Instagram and Facebook. So join us next time for more inspiration on creating a home and a lifestyle that truly supports your best health.